These prices have skyrocketed over the last 5 years, and there's not much you can do about it. Or is there? Now, recently I was reading an RNZ article which summarized a few of the major expenses in our lives and how much they have increased from 2019 through to 2024. Let me take you through some of these unedited raw content. Postage for a medium-sized standard envelope is up 76.9% to $2.30. How many of you are sending letters? Well, you might think, okay, well, that's not me, I don't send stuff, but you buy stuff, and guess what that means? You're probably paying for the postage because the person selling it doesn't want to lose that money, so they're getting you to pay for it. So you are impacted by that, and you maybe hadn't thought about that. International airfares were up 53.6%. Well, I don't do much international travel, so it doesn't really impact me. Really? What about travel you have to do in the future? Or, whether you are getting things or people are coming to see you or making decisions not to, or weddings and things like that, maybe that does impact you, but that's a big increase. Now, this one will impact a lot of people. Local authority rates are up 45.9%. Now, let's all just have a big, deep breath. Hopefully that saves us from losing our shit in the comments about councils, okay? Because I've seen it all before and I get it. And yes, it sucks that rates are up that much, but it is what it is. And the councils have seen increasing costs due to interest rates rising and the other things that they're having to spend money on. So then they've passed those costs on 45.9% from 2019 to 2024. Contents insurance, 58.7%. That is pretty gnarly. Dwelling insurance is up 50.4%. And then food, it wasn't really specifically in there. I used the Reserve Bank inflation calculator to work out what food had gone up in the same period, and it's around 26%. Now, that's a specific basket of food, and remember, each of us individually will have a different percentage based on the things that we buy. So, what can we get rid of in here? Well, postage, that's pretty tricky and probably not a major in our life, but just be mindful the more stuff you're buying, and especially buying it online, you're probably then going to have to factor that in. If you're in business, you need to be thinking about what the cost of postage is doing to your margin as well. International airfares, again, something to be mindful of if you are traveling. Rates, that's pretty hard. Hopefully, as interest rates decrease, the cost of servicing debt will decrease, and maybe rates won't increase as fast into the future. Contents insurance, well, what are the levers there? Do we have a high excess if we can afford it, and maybe your emergency fund becomes your excess, and then maybe your premium decreases? Something to think about. Now, maybe you don't have much contents, and therefore you can look at it and go, what cover do I actually need? When was the last time you had an insurance comparison done, or someone to review your insurances, all of the insurances that you have? Dwelling insurance, the same sort of thing. Maybe it's time to go, you know what, I probably should have this checked. And at the same time, it might be thinking about doing the same of your internet, your power, and all those sorts of utilities and subscriptions that you pay. Are there ways to find them cheaper elsewhere? And all put together, what's that going to add back into your budget? Now, food prices, that's pretty hard because we all got to eat, right? But that 26%, we're all feeling that, and it's probably going to depend the types of food that we're eating. But are there ways that we can eat smarter, or meal prep, or buy in bulk, or produce and create and cook in bulk and things like that? I would take each of those costs and ask ChatGPT, Google, different forums, what can I do around them? Now, I know when I've talked about this before, someone's like, yeah, but what did wages go up in the same time, man? Oh, sorry, bro, sorry. So I just ran that quickly through the RBNZ inflation calculator, and it's 28.3%. Oh, well, that's sweet as, man, 28%. Who cares? Oh, okay. So what is that 28.3% increase? So the RBNZ tells us that's the hourly wage in dollars, private sector ordinary time from quarterly employment survey. Do you know what gets taxed at about 30 to 33% for most Kiwi people? Yeah, your wages are awesome. So you know how when they go up by a certain percentage and you actually then only really get 2/3 of that increase? Didn't think about that, do we? No, we don't often talk about that. So remember, we can talk about gross increases in wages, but we get the net amount, and it depends what tax rate we're on as to how much we're actually getting in the back pocket. And for a lot of people who are watching something like this, they're probably paying tax at a 30 or 33% tax rate. So you're really only getting around 2/3 of that increase. So a $3,000 increase in your income over 12 months, for instance, is probably $2,000 in the pocket, as an example. Now, the thing that we focus on as a nation is how do we bring these costs down? And we've just touched on a little bit of that. But in 2020, when I started Keep the Change and started writing to people and started recording podcasts so that people could learn, I was warning them, this is coming. You need to be prepared. Do you think it's normal for me to be walking past a barber store and there's no one in there, but people still be getting paid 80% to 100% of their wages, but they're not cutting anyone's hair? Is that normal? When I grew up, I heard, nothing is free, and if you want something, you got to work for it. But we were in a time where you didn't have to. And I stood there and thought, I don't know heaps and heaps and heaps about economics, but that one thing alone seems pretty broken. Why are people getting paid to do nothing? Where does that money come from? Okay, what's it going to mean for money in the future? Holy shit, our money is going to be worth less, and therefore things are going to cost more. Calm down, man. Far out, bro. Just chill out, man. It's a pandemic, man. Oh, okay, sweet. Let me just remind you, postage is up 77%, international airfares 53, local authority rates 45, contents insurance 58, dwelling insurance 50, food prices 26, your wages 28% before taxes. Cool. Okay, so what did I start teaching people? You better focus on increasing your income. Oh, don't be so greedy, man. You're all about the money. Why are you fucking always talking about more money? Because things are going to cost more. So I'm trying to educate people ahead of this happening. And that's exactly what happened for a lot of people. I ran webinars years ago, 3 years ago, the More Money webinar. We did side hustle webinars. We've done 2TixU, even leading into the election as well, to show people that there's ways that they can increase their income or find money in their budget, because I knew that the squeeze was going to come. So those people who started learning early, they got a bit of a jump on this and they started learning about increasing their income. And it's taboo in New Zealand. Oh, settle down, man. Can't, how much when's enough for you, bro? Oh, when I can actually afford to pay my rates, feed my family, help my community, pay my sport fees, pay for the kids to go on their school trips, etc. You know what I mean? It's all good to make more money. So that's why I often talk about it. And it's what I would encourage you to think about is, what skills do you have that you can increase your income? And how can you add value to other people's lives and therefore get paid for it? And you can take that money and you can help subsidize the increasing costs that you have in your life. Now, what levers do you have that you can pull in your life? i.e., your property, could you rent it out for 6 of the 52 weekends that we have? Could you get a boarder, for instance? You've got to start thinking about these things, because this country is expensive, and in the last 5 years, from 2019 to 2024, we've seen a massive increase in the cost that all of us have to pay. So we need to be thinking about what we can do in terms of our own income, not just from our jobs or our businesses. What can we do to increase income outside of that? And everybody has had to think about that, including retirees, for instance. It's very common now for retirees to not just have the pension, where they need another form of income, or where they may go live in a camper van and then rent their property out, or have a boarder come in, or look for ways that they can subsidize their income. So this impacts everybody, and the whole, just tinker around the edges and review your Netflix and your Disney and stuff like that. Epic. That's advice from people who don't know how to make more money. Those are the people the media get to come and talk to you, or that are on the, let's say, I don't want to name the show, but it rhymes with Bevan Harp, okay? And they're telling you, oh, just, have a look at all those things. No one was going like, you're going to need to make more money, brother, sister. We're going to need some more cash here. We want to be thinking on this. We want to get a jump ahead on where we're going with this. Nah. And it's still the same shit, like review all your expenses and stuff like that. That's only going to get you so far. And it's great, but that should take 20% of your thinking. And the Pareto principle, however we pronounce it, 80-20, we want to go 80. How can I increase my income? 20, how can I tidy up my expenses? Have a think about this stuff, because costs are going to continue to increase. Inflation is always here, and it's okay to increase your income to subsidize the costs that you have in your life.